You're welcome. You're welcome. Long pool for 5 hours. Yeah, Ryan was here. He's here. He has some last this way. So going to his office and then coming down. You're doing whatever. Let's call to order our August 19th, 2026 City Council study session. I'd like to excuse Councilmember Hyder messaged me and indicated he will not be able to be here for study session today. He will be here for our normal council meeting at 6 o'clock is his goal and so. 3 items today. The first is probably our final discussion was the FY 27 budget. Also, I hope we haven't worn you out on this process. I'm committed to us having an understanding of both the process and what the product and outcome is. And so I'm going to ask Eric to, for today, as a starter discussion, to hit the highlights of what did we fund and what did we delay in our funding. This isn't necessarily about the dollar amounts, it's about what are the outcomes. And then happy to have any discussion that you may want to have during this time. In preparation for our 6 o'clock meeting, we'll be asking for decision on the budget. So, Eric, go ahead.
Well, based on the other little side handouts that George and this work here, we got this the breakdown of some proposed delays and then the proposal highlights and delays that occurred through the whole process that we were looking at here. And I want to go through the highlights of it first and then we'll go through some things that we've already delayed and what's planned to be delayed there. So our first goal was to try to create a competitive compensation and start providing the information for that. And we've been working with that as trying to maintain our staffing, of course. And then by departments here, it looks like the admin department, the only big additional we added on there was the grant position, which is split between several departments. Building planning development, they have a new position that they are proposing for this one that is in the budget for the engineering tech that is also being split between departments. The fire department's highlighted theirs was to incorporate the battalion chief model and bring the staff up to that, and they needed to also add 10 sets of turnout gear. Police department, they had their operational increases, and then they also were funding the mind-based wellness tracking software. They wanted to increase the on-duty workout compensation factors, so some overtime for that. And then the Power DMS, which is the use of force tracking software, really many things that they were after or things that are in the proposals still at this point. Highway, streets and roads had a pickup truck that they're splitting with someone with one of the other departments there that is in there. They have quite a bit of pavement maintenance. They did have pavement maintenance that also ends up being delayed as well because of the funding changes from the state. Trying to make some of that work. There's the New Day Chadwick Railroad crossing that is still in the budget for this year. It was a carryover. What's working on that? Traffic signal detection, the engineering check falls here as long as that and that grant writer as well. Looks like the first department highlights were doing the Coachette bathroom restoration, Coachette and capable drinking fountains, and then some playground equipment improvements. The recreation department, they haven't really been too much in their own budget here of this. So, but they are included here because one of the things that they were planning to try to do was the scoreboard replacement and the diamond fencing. And those are planned, the Whitley program funded for additional funding from sponsorships at this point. So that's how they're included in the budget. Sanitation was going to plan on a commercial truck, portion of the same public works truck mentioned earlier. and the sanitation driver, and we also have two split positions there with the engineering tech and that grant writer. Wastewater has a couple trucks here, but they're splitting theirs. CCT evaluation, gravity sewer rehab, engineering tech, grant writer, and then they also have the Millennium lift station upgrade and the Ellis lift station upgrade, and I'm not 100% sure timing wise, those are kind of sliding scale timing, and those sorts of things happen, big projects. Water also has those pickup trucks, and they also have irrigation out to the Toledo area. The bench booster improvements, well 7 design and well maintenance, and then the Yellowstone water line replacement, which is that one that's currently going already? Or is that just
the next one.
that's the next? It was second guessing myself as I rewrote this. So, and a couple other positions within the technical grant writer. So those are the highlights of the things that we still haven't included in the budget, and we're very proud to be able to put it into it. On the back side of that, what we ended up already cutting on it, putting in the delayed sections for this year, and we'll see when we're planning to be able to pick these back up. Building plan development, they are gonna hold off on one of their pickups that they were looking to get, and the comprehensive plan update was going to be delayed as well. Fire department targeting that station expansion, wanting to get to that, and they also had some security access control stuff they have listed on there as well. Police department is giving up for the time being a deputy chief position that they were after initially, to help cover the gap on some of the funding that we needed. Highway street roads is going to hold off on the jet truck, part of their funding for the improved office building for that area, and some of the pavement maintenance that would have been done from the state funds. Parks has a large commercial mower that they're gonna hold off on, and some additional savings they were planning on putting for capital projects. Sanitation, they're just gonna hold off on that office building as well. And wastewater and water both have the same things here, get the wastewater tech that we're gonna hold off on that position and the office. So those are just kind of the highlights of what we're adding to here, and then also we delayed. Dollar figures and everything are also included on the second handout that was there for the amounts of those totals were. It just kind of the things that we've talked about through the whole time, and when we've gone back and talked with council, talked with Aaron, talked with the department heads, and those are the things that we've come to an agreement about. Some of them, I don't know, there's more that we're still looking to add and change on here, or if they're comfortable with what we've presented, trying to keep this budget as long as we can.
Thoughts or input, Winslow? You're okay with where?
I mean, I would mostly defer to department heads on if this is something that they've helped with and agreed to and do, then
I guess we looked all of you then. I think.
I think we've been in a complete discussion with all
Yeah.
of them about these things. I don't think we're trying to surprise them by pulling something out of their budget.
I think maybe one specific, I wanna make sure on this pavement maintenance that. You're comfortable with it not being such that it's gonna. Incrementally impact us even more down the road if we put it off a year. You know what I'm saying?
There's always that risk.
Yeah,
Money spent today usually saves someone on that, but we don't have the money to spend today. So we're gonna do the best we can with what we can get funded and try to make it stretch as far as we can. I understand the situation we're in. I mean, I think what what's been included in the budget is a great compromise. If that makes sense.
okay.
How much of a delay is that? Is it just with this year or next year?
Will be every year from here on out, sure.
Great.
That number, just for clarity, is. That 270,000 is. reflective of the shortage that we have in the state. So as Bridger and I visited about what that opportunity was, I asked him to consider leaving the portion that we normally fund alone, but decreasing the budget by that deficit we have in shared revenues. That's why the number is where it is. I appreciate his honesty that street funding will likely always be deficient of pieces.
I mean, we're not the only ones in that, though. I think that's across the board, every community is dealing with the same situation, so you just do what you can with what we. Look forward to that and use that as well as use it.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort you guys have been putting in, seriously. Yeah, we know that we got shorted from state. So, but I appreciate that.
A year like today, or a year like this year where we got a great bid. Helps make up some of those shortcomings. So it's, yeah, it can. It's hard to know exactly how that's gonna play out every year from here on out. We're doing okay.
Okay, thanks, Bridget.
Bridger, is there opportunities for grants in streets and water and all that stuff, or is that,
Potentially,
okay,
most of the funding for transportation all comes through. The state and LTAC, at least that we're familiar with.
okay,
I don't know that I've ever really seen that geared towards them. That's
that's,
usually for improvements, capacity issues, safety issues. We'll continue to work for any opportunity.
We need the streets, all those funds got that too. So. It's not just municipalities, the transportation fund, it's LTAC, it's anything related to transportation in the state of Idaho. Experience the same.
maybe our new grant writer can work magic.
I want to piggyback Melly's comments, and Chief, I'm gonna look to you, get prepared, so I'm looking to you for input. As listed on Eric's sheet and in all of the budget processes, we list that position as an administrative position as a grant, a public information officer, and a community coordinator. In my mind, I've kind of envisioned that individual probably can serve 2 or 3 different roles that I see needs of in our community. And I'm looking to council for a little bit of support that I think that needs to be focused on grants, the administrator as not just priority 1, as the only priority. Go ahead, share your experience, giving me good advice.
Just talking to other chiefs and stuff. It seems like if you don't take advantage of that grant position, just let them do the job, they're not gonna do as well as the people have. So, my opinion is they'll more than pay for themselves as long as you let them do the job, so.
Don't get them sidetracked with other
With that idea.
other things, yeah. And those others are significantly less important. I do see that need, but we'll.
So I guess you'll
We'll
just have
fill
to
in
cover
others.
that.
Sure. Yes.
Well, I was having a talk with another chief locally about this specifically, and they have a full-time grant writer. And they're of the same opinion, if you want them to actually be effective and create a lot of revenue for the city, let them be a grant writer.
Okay,
Because going through those reps over and over again, they're time consuming.
That's what I heard also from Mayor Dahlquist. Key role in the city of Pocatello, and they have to let them focus on that effort, so. Looking to you for a little bit of a head nod, but that job description may have been
multiple things.
multiple things. I think we're gonna narrow down, I would like to narrow down into just the grant writing position.
I'm good with that.
Especially on the federal side of the house. I've been a part of the federal grants before. And the amount of tracking they make you do. Just for one grant is insane. So if they're doing several grants, they're.
Don't think we would, I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I can speak for myself, that as long as they're doing. For lack of better words, they're more protected and. They're more cost effective. For the position, I have no problem with that at all, as far as I'm concerned. So. So,
My view of it is pretty easy to, it doesn't take much of a grant award to pay for the position.
Right.
I guess is my point, and we should pursue every opportunity that's out
and this is full spectrum for the whole,
there, citywide.
All departments, all.
Okay,
well, that's a full-time job. By itself.
chiefs, and I'm Ryan. Person front doesn't want me to look at you. There we have it.
Don't let us get back.
Right.
You okay, anything to add to budget? Chief Carter? Scott? Oh, where's the AC at in here? I mean, you were good. Joey? Good. Well, you have to end the discussion.
Sounds great.
Okay. You defer. Great, let's move to.
So I also had a chance to go to a rank training and work with them. And they speak a different language. Like, we're not doing that every day. You're gonna miss out on opportunities and you're not gonna get those grants because you're not gonna be able to illustrate and you know how to write them. So like, if I was to write grants once in a while, I might get lucky and get a grant. But that's what it is, it's luck. They truly do speak a different language. Be able to kind of meet the city. That's not like.
Part of why I have the title, no, you got me good. Part of why I have the title of that community coordinator is I envision that this grant writer expands their connections beyond all of the normal grants that exist out right there, federal grant, state grants. I hope that they can develop relationships with our local partners. With our credit unions, with the health trust, with the hospital, with ISU, those types of things is partially why I have the community coordinator position, because I think there are opportunities in our own community to receive funding. I think that's important, so.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Council good?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to item number 2, build a better Chubby, vision discussion. Council, I hate to say that you're last to the show, but everybody in here has heard this message. And tonight, it is an introduction to you. And I am seeking your support, I'm seeking your input and comments if we need to make adjustments to this vision. So I just want to have an open discussion with you about this. It's not in your packet, but I have 4 slides on the presentation. And at first glance, it may be not obvious that they're applicable to the conversation. But I want you to read them and we'll just pause and think about them for just a second before we move on. I don't intend necessarily to speak to all 4 of them. So, go ahead and consume the message. Super helpful, actually. Number 2. Great. Last thing. Keep those core thoughts in mind as we go through the next 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes to get through this. Hope is that they resonate in all of our different messages. I'm gonna ask you all a question, and those of you that have been through this process, you are welcome to participate. Raise your hand and I'll give it to yours. As a qualifier, I like AI as a tool to be effectively used. All of the images here today are driven very intentional, AI generated, but with very specific intent. I didn't paint these myself, I guess it's my point. But I do think that they represent the message that I'm trying to share. So I ask you, open conversation, what do you see in that picture?
Our downtown.
Connection with everything, for lack of better words,
Connection?
the connection to not only us, county, Okie, ISU, obviously. And, you know, and how they all work together, in my opinion, that's just what I see. It's also a standard there, if you will. Beautiful.
Good.
Pretty. Nobody wants to live in a ghetto. Having been there, done that, nobody wants to live in a ghetto. And, no, I mean, you see a family walking down the road, safe, pleasant community.
Commercial opportunity, but also green space.
Yeah, good golf shoes too.
And our name right there, big and bold.
On our water tower?
Big and bold.
Yeah, the water guys were excited to see that we were out there. Those of you that participated, anything else? Did you have someone say they saw skis or? The family friendly piece, the issue connection that the two of you referred to. What was true? Good or bad? I mostly share that with this conversation to set our mind to the fact that when we look at things, it's easy to identify what's good. When I look at that, I'm intrigued by it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's something that we can hope for and aspire to. It's something that we shouldn't believe is out of reach. We can get there. Okay. Introduction slide to this concept of build a better chart. 4 items listed here. I want to address them a little bit each. First of all, the build a better chart. The build piece is an acronym. To a future slide, if you look through your packet and you would see it, but that word is very intentional. It's an acronym for a framework that we're suggesting to employ on behalf of all of our operations to guide our decision processes. The second, there is a striving to create a clear vision and mission for the city. This was a big piece of my campaign. Strategic planning was a high priority to me when I worked at the city before. It often spoke to the fact that you gotta have a vision and a direction and have a tendency to just wander. Well, those are all philosophies that all of us in this room understand. But I want it to resonate deeply in us that we have a direction. Part of what pushed me down this path is about 2 months ago, we were in a Blue Cross training and they asked the question, This is 9 cities, 8 or 9 cities, all newly elected mayors that Blue Cross has chosen across the state to go through this training process. And they asked the question of what is your highest priority and how do you intend to accomplish that? And I sat there in that meeting, unable to answer. To clearly pick out what is most important and what are the tools and processes to get there. I wasn't able to answer on behalf of our city, right? That's my job. That was in Boise as part of the AIC conference. And on the drive home and since had those conversations, and credit to Cammie, she has accurately identified that is my job. If I can't answer that question, if I can't set a vision for our community, I am not going to pick it up. That challenge has motivated me to put together this vision for our community. The third statement, it's intended to help guide our decisions and our processes, and really hope that it is part of our organizational culture, and I hope that it produces positive results for our community. When I talk about the backbone of our organizational culture, I want Build a Better Chubbuck to be, I'm gonna use the adjective sticky. I want it to resonate with us. I want everywhere we go for us to be able to say, we are about building a better Chubbuck. That's our message. And I think it's sticky. I like that it's sticky. Let me share with you why. All right, department heads, this was our July leadership meeting, leadership coordination, when I first introduced this to you. So since that time, and credit to those in this room, Public Works has scheduled and Municipal Services has scheduled all of their staff into training sessions to hear this exact same conversation. So it resonates through their organization. Fire department is using the images from this presentation to create posters in their hallways. It's sticky. I believe it's going to work. Human Resources immediately changed their email signature to Build a Better Chubbuck. Followed by Building Department, followed by others. It starts to resonate through the organization. It's sticky. Now, credit to Chief Sasser, when we met Tuesday, he is creating a chapter in their policy manual that is this vision. So that his entire department has access to and understands. In fact, I think they have to check the box that they read it. Have short. But it will be accessible and resonate with those groups. That's what I mean when I say it's sticky, right? It's important enough to us, it's easy to remember, it's easy to represent. And then the fourth thing is, I want the council to be aware this is not a replacement for the effort of priorities that we've already gone to and identified those 4 key areas for the next 12 months. They are built into this framework. Yeah. Couple other things that will pop up that we can pay attention. I think we understand the Build a Better Chubbuck, but we also end up having a repetitive message about creating a safe, innovative, connected, and thriving community. Those 4 things. So this is my vision for the city of Chubbuck. That safe, innovative, connected, or thriving community focused on these areas that are shown here of responsible management, exceptional public safety, strong partnerships, healthy residents, innovative processes, and sustainable growth. I think that adds value to our community, both internally in our organization and for those that we serve. Here are the 7 areas that I have identified. I'm asking everybody to understand and support. In the coming slides, we'll speak to each one of these in a little more detail, but the first is the balanced and sustainable finances. Second, unmatched livability, right? That's the quality of our spaces. That's things for people to do, like vibrant downtown piece, good neighborhoods, community events. 3, investing in the health and wellness. 4, leveraging partnerships. 5, developing a safe and prepared community. That obviously is mostly focused around our police and EMS services. 6 is innovation and continuous improvement. A lot of that is focused internally on the things that we do or how can we improve those services. And the 7th is to make sure that our growth is attractive, that it supports our goals, and that we're growing responsibly. I'm gonna go back to number 4, counseling your input. I really liked the term. This is new to everybody in the room. I thought leveraging partnerships is about creating those relationships. I issue with Karen Pocatello with funding partners. I've had the concern over the last few days is the term leveraging or like a one-way. We're asking something. Right? We're leveraging. We want something from you. I don't know if that's how it feels. I like the term. I like it when we created it. And here, there's a better term there.
How about enhancing?
How about building?
Well, you gotta have now.
What?
You gotta have now, B-E-I-L.
No, that's no, not yet. No, but thank you.
No, I think maybe at first glance it might, at first glance it might appear old. But when you think about it, the leveraging is not gonna work, and it's not a win-win for both parties.
Sorry, say that again?
Okay, at first glance, you know, I said, oh, leveraging, that sounds like it's a one-way, leveraging my investment on, buying on, no. But it's not gonna work if it's not a win-win for both.
Yeah.
So I think when you think a little more deeply about it, it's all right.
Well,
I don't know, maybe there's more.
no, I agree with you on that, but the problem is that on the surface, it does look like you can, what's the word, leverage. Doesn't have, it has negative connotation.
You're trying to, I think Norm's right, it can go both ways, but you could add something in between like leveraging. Mutually
Oh,
beneficial,
there you go.
I don't know that you would make it longer, but
Or leveraging partnerships. Leveraging partnerships for mutual benefits.
I think you need to change it to something else. It can still have that word in it, but it's either you gotta add something to it or change it to a different.
This came up Monday at lunch in the chamber. And I spoke to this, and when I used that term, yeah, and I think the room was okay, but when I expressed it to that group, it felt selfish.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look at doing something different there. Thank you. Any other comments, council, concerns, questions? Like three standard requests, questions, concerns, comments. What happens?
This is a scene.
Okay, let's look at the framework that we associate with this. And again, a little bit of credit to the Blue Cross training. They had some documents that guide these decision-making processes. And so this is somewhat based on, at least roughly based on the information that they had provided. But I put this slide in as a bullet and identifying the key areas. In each one of these moving forward, we're gonna identify a priority category. We're gonna try and create a catchphrase statement associated that is easily, that's sticky, if you will, for that topic. We're gonna identify what is it that we're trying to accomplish, how do we achieve it? We're gonna identify key priority areas and then an outcome statement. So the next 7 slides are built on that structure and mentality. All right, the balanced and sustainable finances. That's our priority category, and the catchphrase is strong stewardship and sustainable investment. I like it. I'm open if you have something else. You speak to how are we gonna ensure that long-term fiscal strength of the city? We drill down into those key priority areas. Just the things like I like, whoops. Joey, thanks Joey, if I could have the clicker so I could keep up. I don't even remember that. The alignment of our budgets with our priorities, outcomes, I think he already talked about. Our reserve policy, we should work towards, right, our fund balance policies. Improving our financial transparency, strengthening our revenue forecasting as we look forward. That's been an efficiency of ours that we have the opportunity to. Yeah, well said, thank you, Eric. Using strategic financing tools and then maintain long-term capital improvement plans, which each department has now included that 5-year plan, their budget process. When I go back to utilize strategic financing tools, let me just show you a couple of thoughts I have in mind there. We're all familiar with tax increment districts. It's about the only tool that we've had to incentivize growth. Our council has had some exposure to the community improvement districts. From Pioneer Capital Ventures, specific to the Northside Crossing project. On our September 2nd study session, we'll have a consultant, third-party independent consultant explain that to us, and I think there is opportunity in our community to use that. I would characterize it this way to start. TIF creates a district, collects money over time, and we really spend all the money at the end. CID allows you to spend all the money up front and you repay the debt to the end. So I think it is a tool that we should seriously consider implementing, and we'll have a presentation. Outcome, financially stable, but prepared for the future.
Hey, Rodney,
Yeah.
back up a little bit, going back to CID. So have you looked? I don't know if you kept track of the Eagle CID or even the Rexburg CID that they have and how they're going. Reach out to those cities at all?
Not familiar with the Eagle, I'm afraid one in Boise, yet, over Harris Ranch.
There's right, Jeff. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, that's a yes. When we go through that presentation on the second, we'll take into account the individuals that are now representing us. Represent Hammond, the same scenario, Rexburg, I don't think they represent Harris Ranch. When I say represent us, they would act as an advisor to the city on these topics. Not the developer, right? They're working for us.
Okay.
To help us understand it. Great question, thanks. Unmatched livability. Place where people can call home, and our goal is to create an exceptional quality of life. We list 5 items there, enhancing our downtown village and those gathering spaces, right, just public spaces. Support for community events and social activities. I think I've shared with the council the thought that what makes a city livable, and one of the 3 things, and one of those things is social activities, things to do in the community. Those of you that were here at our 250th celebration, everybody loved when we were doing something here. And there's some effort. I sat down at the picnic table, I got my free basket of fries from Tom Corral, and sat at the table out here, this is towards the end of the event, with Aaron from Parks, and I said, this is awesome, we need to do this more often. He said, I think. Not next week, but at least 2 or 3 times a year, like something to do. Same with, the Chubbuck Days and the parade and. Asked each department what having some exposure at Chubbuck Days. And it was great.
I got one.
Yeah, I just think so, a long time, and the. I don't know what we would call that, chief, the officer course, the advanced, the on hands. Training that you guys did for, did you guys see that? They. Had the ability to rescue someone, drag them down, they spray fire.
Oh, yes.
And, yeah, what you call that? Right, just hands-on, what is the department doing now? Public Works spin wheel, it's amazing when a little gadget draws attention. If you can come up and spin a wheel and answer a question. Anyway, tremendous, I think those things are important. Same pitch of attractive public spaces. Something that's welcoming and including for all residents. I'm learning that I have a tendency to sometimes forget our seniors, and they are equally important to have space, programs. Investing in health and wellness. We're gonna have a couple slides towards the end of the presentation that focus the build model on this topic. But our goal here, I wanna make sure that we're supporting active, healthy lifestyles, and there's a component of this as you look at the key priorities. Number 3, that also includes making sure we're paying attention to the mental health and other needs in our community. Which I think are extremely valuable. Always a proponent of parks and pathways. Love the fact that we have good rec programs. Number 4, there I list of all ages. So that's from 1 year old to.
Us.
That's
basic.
We're not trying to look at it, hold on, way to say it. We're not. Those of us born in the 60s or early 1960s.
And agency. You just went that way.
Small sidetrack. I saw a meme or something yesterday that showed if you were born before. I don't remember the exact date, but it applied to both of my children. You're older than the first text message.
Oh.
Yeah, my children are older than text messages.
We learned.
Questions or comments, council, on that topic?
So would this include French fries at future events or?
100%. That's part of being there. Yeah.
What?
He's planning the fall harvest festival.
I've never had sugar beets.
Sugar beets?
There you go.
You're missing out. So you guys get that email from change.org?
Yes,
Okay, you guys respond to that, Ralph?
yes. They're the instigator, that sounds amazing. The
Initiator.
leverager,
I was like, one kitty class.
the creator of that petition is actually participating in our Parks Advisory Committee meeting in the morning. I don't know how you feel about it, I am grateful that they're active
Oh, yeah.
and engaging with us.
So I responded to that.
Great.
And said, I'm all for it, just to paraphrase, but I said, the only thing that's stopping us is money. And going, because I start with that, swinging to this, is that the same group of people that are starting this, particularly in that neighborhood, right? Have them start working on fundraising as well. That's, I mean, get them involved, give them in direction. Those are your neighbors, aren't they? Out there?
Are you talking about the folks across Philbin?
Yeah.
East side of Philbin?
No.
Oh,
No,
what's that? What's that?
they're not my neighbors.
That's a small from the side.
Oh, Miller, yeah,
Little park.
yeah. I don't know where she lives, Holly, I don't know.
West.
She lives,
In Brookstone,
yeah,
yeah.
she lives at the corner, she lives across the street. Here, Winwood.
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
Been engaging with her, invited her to participate, she's excited to come be part of the process.
Are you talking the skate park?
I'm not the whole 20 acres, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, the skate park is just, in my opinion, part of that, aside from the,
Correct.
I mean, because we can add with them, whatever.
They're just looking, their petition is for, let's do something.
For all of our park.
They already got a walking track out there, might as well make it nicer. See if they can get involved. Have been helped, I mean, it's. So you take ownership. Maybe takes ownership of that park.
Number 4. Leveraging partnerships that we're better together. That's the message, we're better together. Strengthening our, you probably already heard this off. This is really the message that I share every time I have an audience. Monday at the chamber, the Rotary clubs, when Mayor Dahlquist and I get a chance to be together, this is very much the message that I share about. The banner in our parade was the Portland Valley, right, and the partnerships that we're involved with. But strengthening our relationships with the county and with the city of Pocatello. Expanding our partnerships with ISU, I'm gonna come back to that one in just a second. Collaboration with our local businesses and other financial institutions. Making sure that we align with and engage with organizations like the Portland Health Trust. They are largely who drives this comment of investing in health. And then public-private partnerships, however those may be to advance our community goals. Now, let me go back up to our relationship with ISU. Such admiration for President Wagner. He is a tremendous individual in our. Who's taking notes?
If you wanna keep your L, you also said we are better together. What about lifting together?
Hey, there you go.
You know, yeah, yes. Yes, to all of those. It wasn't intentional to have, it probably started intentional to have build when I only had 5 goals and then turned into 7. And now what are we doing? Build.
Billy,
We're building this.
how about Billy?
Our partnerships with ISU, there's a couple things coming down the pipe. One of them will be a study session in September and then hopefully a formal agreement in October. But September 12th, is that right? San Diego State home game here is going to be Chubbuck Stadium Dome. Discounted tickets, discount on merchandise, recognition of us during the events. ISU is largely leading that effort. We just simply ask the questions, there's something we can do related to that, but let's see a lot out there. So our marketing department has come out and met with us, they're doing the social media campaign that we get to share. But September 12th is Chubby's Day in the Dome. It's a 4 o'clock home game.
Is there in San Diego?
San Diego or San Diego State?
No, because of the same thing.
No. I did a place at that.
Charge promotions, not working.
How can we get involved? Like at the actual event?
That will all, what's our deadline, Ken? We've asked them for info by the 3rd September, I don't remember. That will be coming.
Okay. Yes,
I'll be there regardless.
We should be getting info the next couple. Probably by next week. And I can share it with you guys.
It may include, a little bit separate from my issue, but I'm considering putting tickets in our local vendors and go buy your tickets from Cheese Pie Place.
Oh,
Get them, go. Percent off your pie or something to that effect. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the raffle piece. Yeah, I hope people enjoy it. Really excited about it. Then that ticket will also get you into that Thursday's soccer game.
Ooh.
after or before?
Thursday.
The Thursday after.
Yes. They're doing something special there. We get to carry out the gate ball and flip the coin here. do something there.
Well,
The point in all of that is kudos to President Wagner and his staff. And it is a tremendous opportunity for us to partner and have our community more involved with ISU.
Well, I think she's on the verge of some great things and this is a wonderful opportunity for us to coach Elliot.
Yeah. In addition to that, kudos to ISU on the 29th.
Yeah.
It's, the game on the 29th is focused towards first responders.
It's like a hero or not maybe one of our officers. So no, for a little ceremony. And halftime for that officer. They'll also give us a lot of discount tickets, so.
Of the voucher, so
Nice.
do a great job.
And we got people square away.
What a terrible duty, they have to go down the
Rodney, before we leave this one.
Yes.
Strengthening relationships, Bandon County City Hotel. First this year, we had a wonderful meeting with the tribe. I wonder if you ought to maybe put that in there too, because I think there's some great potential there. They reached out to us, they want to make things work, and I think it'd be mutually beneficial.
Great comment. I would say similarly on number 3, I say including ICCU. I've learned that there are other institutions. Do we want to isolate just ICCU? Should I take that off or keep that on?
Let's take it off, because again, we
So
kind
don't
of,
eliminate. Don't eliminate it.
or not just add the other ones.
Obviously, I want to give adequate attention to ICCU
Absolutely.
for business and not just children, but our entire
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
But I don't want to unintentionally exclude others for opportunity. Okay, move on.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that could be listed there, Simplot, there's. So probably either not list them or list several,
If you list, you're gonna leave somebody out.
yeah.
So we put them here.
Maybe we add a separate category for
ICC.
ICCU and their participation in our downtown village.
Yeah.
Safe and prepared community, these are all critically important, saying ready today, prepared for tomorrow. Committed to make sure we're providing excellent public safety. So that begins with adequate funding. I hope the 2 chiefs feel council has been committed to and continues to be committed to their organization. The second is really about ambulance service. I will say that is an up and down. I thought we were close 3 months ago and change in leadership in Pocatello hasn't changed the support, it just changed the priority as we have a new chief. I believe that we'll get there. With the help of Bandon County also. Now, number 3. This is a scenario where AI may not understand exactly what I'm asking. So there's a spelling error in here. We don't strengthen community side and emergency, it's community wide.
Oh, that'd be my side.
Planning to make sure we have the right infrastructure and we can either a second fire station or we have. And investing in the technology and training, which you've always been a strong advocate for, Roger, and that is part of the chief's answers request and funding is to make sure we have those resources available. Innovation and continuous improvement. How do we improve the services that we provide? Smarter government produces better results. Committed to using innovation and smart solutions to make sure that we're providing good services. And it includes the use of AI for the right opportunities. conversation with them. I don't think we're ready yet to have AI write police reports. But there are things that it can do that are fairly routine to us. That it is an absolute tool for us to use. I'm guilty, even in today's conversation, of admitting I used AI as if that's a bad thing. Seems to be the narrative everywhere when you, oh, that letter was written with AI, or oh, analysis with AI. I don't care, it does our job.
Makes it easier, yeah.
Easier, quicker, faster, want us to find ways to use those tools. Some of this is about just streamlining processes, identifying regulations that we maybe can look at to tweak, eliminate, soften.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to, going on. With that streamlined city process, as much as we'd like to go also to the high tech road drag stuff like AI. It's always the grunts at the floor, at the ground level that give you the best processes and get it in addition. I mean, that goes up and down the chain, as long as the information flows out. And when we're requesting flows down, I think we can get a lot from everybody who works at the grunt level, so just about. And I know you guys do that already, so but I just want to emphasize that a little bit more.
Good example of that is Tuesday, Sean and Don and Ron, the three alms. We're gonna, Three Musketeers. Great conversation with our building development advisory in just that, what is our process and what's important to us and how do we better partner, all those types of things. We're having those conversations, I'm grateful for it.
Make sure that they can, if somebody's like a brand new person's got a brand new idea, because they got a new perspective. Let them encourage them to say something. That goes a long way.
Anything else on this one, you ready? Last one. Strategic growth and development. That we have growing opportunities, but we do so responsibly. Committed to good growth that strengthens our economy, creates good opportunities and serves what makes us great. The 5 things that are listed there is to encourage high quality commercial and residential. High priority. I think the council's been exposed to for the last number of years and then renewed effort now that infill is important to us. It is a great free opportunity for us to effectively promote infill development.
I think we should change encourage to require.
Where are you? Oh, number 1.
Second.
Can we come up with a word that's in the middle or do you want it to be required?
Gotta comply with code, so I mean, that's the challenge is.
Yeah,
They have a product that's.
Leverage.
Huh?
Leverage.
Farm West.
I like require, I want developers. That develop here to know that there's a standard that is expected in Chile. And I think that's something that is. That could be a whole nother study session. I feel like encouraging high quality is what we have been doing. And we get some developments that look awesome and we have others that don't. And so I think we need to work on ways to, as you said, we have to follow code, but we also can change city code and ordinances to get us to where we need to be on that, so that's my 2 cents.
Any opposition to required?
No, I would just, I'm not on that side of the table anymore. The challenge is if you look at the next item on the list. You get a loggerheads with. Some of your infill things. Can't be as
Strict.
demanding as bare ground.
Yeah. I still think we can do it, even in our infill development, I think we can
Our higher expectation.
have higher expectations.
Well, then you recognize that that produces different challenges, and so you tweak the standards in a way that you don't make it more difficult and avoid the logic of the timer home.
And probably one of the other things that comes to mind, just on a bit of a tangent, is again, areas where could keep be developed a little bit better, like let's take Mingo Lane, right? Right now, it's part of it's residential, part of it's commercial. And somewhere along the way, we should plan for that, in my opinion, make that commercial. And as people leave and so forth, or whatever the turnover may be, developers buy a house there or a lot there, they tear it down and build something else on it. Be ready to make sure that we can actually change it from residential to commercial, at least relatively quickly for them. Just put that in our mind somewhere along the way, so we can actually make more efficient use of those infills and our more aged structures that we have around town, right there.
Oh, and I think it's in the third one.
Boston. Other comment you have?
No, that was, I mean, really, you know. I mean, you probably might throw in there to do some form-based development standards where appropriate. And it is tricky, it's gonna be different than new development. Which is gonna be different than. PUD develop, I mean, there's so many different things, but I just think. And we can have, this is something I've been wanting to add to a study session, and so maybe we will do that in the next little while. Just some of those comparables around town of. This turned out great, and this is. The same kind of product, but it looks not good, and figure out how to bridge that gap.
The other two there are, this is the fourth one's kind of related to infill. We need to have some kind of incentives associated with trying to push growth towards those infill. And for growth, I want to make sure we're business for the environment, is what you speak to the process, bridging those things to come. I'm gonna go back up to just this, encourage or foster or require the high quality commercial development. We do have a build worksheet presentation about that. It's based around the concept of a community participation agreement, meaning when you come to our community to develop, what you have to offer to our community. It's not just just leveraging, it's going both ways. So we do have a framework that's started down that path of title development expectations. But we'll look at in just a minute. So in conclusion, how do we move this forward? So that first bullet, our leadership team support and building on efforts that are already doing. Bridger was really good to identify with this group, that this isn't a complete shift in what we're doing. It applies to all of the operations that they're already functioning at a high level at. It just asks them to consider this process or this framework in those things that they're doing. So we've introduced this to the leadership team, checkbox, that one is done. We're here today, August 19th, with the council, going through this process to get your input, support. Our next step is I want to have a combined meeting with council, with land use development, and with CDA, so that other decision-making entities in our community, they're all aligned, the same goals and the same vision. That may occur in September. There's some coordination to go on there, what that meeting looks like to get us all in the same room. There's a chance that that may occur in the September 16th study session. Mostly because I'm thinking. Executive director of CDA is supposed to be in town the night before. She usually attends pretty well, I think she's gonna be here. That's our current goal. Not sure that we'll get to that, but. We're gonna dedicate a page to our new website. I'm not sure if you're aware, we're going through website revision, so we'll put a page on the website to our community vision. And then the goal to just have this resonate, have it be sticky throughout all of our departments. That is ongoing. And I'm gonna share with you something that happened just 1.5 hours ago. Mike Wise and Matt Johnson were up in the hallways. Stepped out of my office to visit with them for a second, and I said, don't go to Walmart. You know what it is tonight? Don't go to Walmart tomorrow night. Because they're replacing the signal cabinets, which means the traffic signals will go dark for like 6 or 7 hours. They're not doing it at 10 in the morning. They're doing this at night. Anyway, we had that conversation and walked away, and Mike stopped and turned back and says, actually, do you know what we're doing? I'm like, well, what else are you doing? We're building a better junk. Cause I've asked people, what's your job description? What's your job description at CDHS? What do you do?
Build a better truck.
Right? It's sticky. That's what we're about. So I was grinning here from here. That's sticky. That's getting the message.
Sending a man to the moon, sir.
True, this is not my story. There's a history to all of this that I've used often.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's the, when President Kennedy visited NASA, he was talking to people in the hall and came across a person that's just cleaning, he's a janitor, he's cleaning the floors and stuff. He asked him, what do you do here? And he goes, I'm helping send a man to the moon, Mr. President. So it's just a message that whole vision permeated the organization, that everyone knew they were part of the team that had a critical role. So it's a good, good message.
admittedly, council, and all this training to help secure that message, I couldn't have to give away $150. It's sticky because of bribery. I'm not sure. Because it was in part of the training and anyway, cost me $150. Money well spent. On the right-hand side of that, how can we participate in the build framework? That's what I'm asking everyone to do on a daily basis, right? How can we apply this to the things that we're doing? How can we apply it to our existing processes? Then the last thing is participate in the one idea process to encourage others to do. One idea piece is the build framework in detail. All right, any thoughts from council that we need to be aware of? Or I think I close them still comments. I don't think this is in your packet. So I think it was really add subtraction and you can cover it in the top.
Because it's awesome.
You're good. You can
Yeah,
continue to charge forward.
I think having build better Chubbuck conversations in our study sessions often, and whether we want to do that on one of the areas at a time or as a whole, anyone can bring anything that any ideas they have, but I think that would be a good thing to do. Just have a build better Chubbuck brainstorming session each study session.
I've listed each of these 5 or 6 key priority areas. Actually, those are high level umbrella. We can drill down into each one of those and we can certainly add to it. I like that being standing that. I like that. This is I used this and okay, I had to speak to the Rotary Club and not and we all just go chase the national vendors and we accept whatever they bring to our community. That shouldn't define who we are. It's gonna be defined by what we choose to create our community. Alright, here's the framework tool. One idea, 5 essentials, real results. This is directly from the Blue Cross effort. We manipulated that to get it into the acronym, to get the categories to be in the acronym of BUILD, but the content of this are those same 5 categories that I learned. So the B is that we gotta identify who we're bringing together, right? Who needs to be part of this conversation to move this one idea forward. Number 2, we gotta have a clear understanding of what is going on, what are we trying to accomplish. The third one, the I, we need to identify responsibility, the who, what, when. So that we don't just get lost in this living out there as a cool idea. Oh no, we gotta leave the word leverage, people.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is great. Cause this is
internal,
yeah,
okay.
I think that one's fine.
Leverage resources, meaning what tools, materials, people, funding, et cetera, do we need to achieve it? And then that E is to drive accountability, right? How do we follow up? How do we know we've accomplished what we've set out to do? Turning your idea, that's an encouragement for everybody to participate. So Roger, if you called me and had an idea about putting shade canopies at the splash pad in Stewart Park, which you have. The first thing now I'm gonna do is say, let's sit down and go through this process.
Okay.
And
Is this-
it may be a 5-minute conversation, and you just check those boxes, right, that,
Yeah,
and identify, it. But it may be a detailed. Takes 3 months to get to a new infill ordinance, those types of things. Committed to, I like the process, and I'm committed to implement this in our decision.
the share your idea, fill out the build action form, is that gonna be on our website?
Undetermined. Do you want it there?
Yeah. I think that is cool. And I think that maybe we should review those. In a study session, so I think that's one thing that. Residents feel like they, well, submit a form. Form to nowhere, like, you know what I mean, like, they don't feel like they're heard. But I almost wonder, I mean, and we can kind of fill it out, like, if we're getting hundreds of those, obviously, we can't go over those in a study session, but if we're getting them here and there. I think it might be something good just to read out loud, and this is an idea from a resident, is this something that we feel like is attainable and something we wanna look at doing, or table it, or I don't know, I like that idea, people being able to share their ideas.
We do already have some tools to allow it, tell it to City Hall, maybe some, I think, is that on our website? Tell it to City Hall, lost in it, we love it. As we roll this campaign out, it's a great opportunity for us to provide
Yeah,
residents that.
yeah.
Just some examples. And these are real, these are ideas that either have some traction or just popped in minds in the last few days, but. This welcome home program. I'm more excited to share the program with you than I know the build structure. You can look through the build structure, right? It identifies who needs to be part of it, what are the conversations, all of those 5 categories. But council, I want to introduce to you today. This is a program. The first listing and who needs to be involved, it says the Go West Foundation. That is an organization that has come to East Idaho and created a partnership. Those 4 credit unions that are listed there, SCCU, Frontier, Westmark, and Connections Credit. And in the theme of affordable housing, those 4 credit unions have agreed for first-time home buyers. No down payment. No origination fees. And here's the big word, no mortgage insurance. Wow. Whoa.
If they do their loans through one of those
Financial.
Those four entities. And they will fund with those conditions. Now, they did make their fourth caveat says close to market rate interest. But I can tell you for a first time home buyer, 1/4% bump in interest offsets mortgage insurance for one, right? Tremendous program. The big kickoff for that was last Monday in Idaho Falls. Each of those credit unions were there to speak to it. I wanna figure out what we can help do with that.
Yeah,
Can we add to that in infill? If you'll use this program in infill, we'll waive your building permit. I don't, whatever it is, I don't know. That's a tremendous opportunity for us to one, support that, but all government entities are talking about how do we accomplish affordable housing. And this group is helping move that forward where it is the most impact.
do we have all of those here in town?
Yes.
Okay,
This is why previously I said there's more here than ICCU. And again, I'm not trying to discount ICCU. Frontier Credit Union, they are on the streets. Out in front of the old Navy, and I don't know what that street is.
oh, yeah, on the,
Early in Yellowstone,
Yeah.
so that's Frontier Credit. That's not trading to start with. Yep.
That's behind them.
The story I want to share with you is that this meeting was in Idaho Falls at the, I actually forgot what they call it, there's Civic Auditorium, which is connected to Idaho Falls High School.
Yeah.
It's named the Frontier Credit Union Auditorium. They put $4.5 million into that facility. Credit unions are tremendous partners. They care about our community. They're investment partners, but what I love about them the most is you see them out doing things too. They're in our adopted partner program. They're active, doing great things. So that's the Welcome Home program. The second is, and I haven't intentionally put this slide first because this was an idea in origin, but then it's thrown into the build framework. This is, I would tell you, this is the mission of the Portland Health Trust. As I've had an opportunity to spend time with Sean and Chaka, this is the topic that is important there. I agree with him 100%. Those four things create a healthy community. Right, an active lifestyle, healthy eating, social interaction, and that we have a purpose. That creates a healthy community. So with that vision in mind, the next slide is how do we apply that? Healthier communities into that build rate. We don't have to go through it in detail, but just know that we're identifying each of those categories. What do we need to help us forward? Do you have that one?
it's just backwards in our
Yes.
project.
One of the reasons I think this is important is our historically true and looking forward likely true never ending increase in healthcare costs. For our organization, for our American. Sean's view of this, the CEO of the hospital, we were together, said they believe this decreases utilization was the term that they used. I had to ask them, what does that mean? Healthy people don't rely upon emergency room or sore throat. For once we meet our deductible, we don't ever wanna go to the doctor until we meet our deductible, and when we meet our deductible, we go for everything. Right? My bill is paid. That drives some of their vision of how you can create more healthy community. So I share that with you because it has real life impacts. For individuals, for families, for. All right, this is the last one I'm gonna share with you, the elevate expectations. So this goes back to Melanie's comment on requiring.
I don't know if we have this one.
I express my apologies, look at this too.
Okay.
This is the next few. Were built this morning. I really only wanted to include this as an opportunity for you to see, we've taken an idea of wanting to elevate expectations is what it's titled, right? How do we improve the quality of our commercial and residential?
It's the same framework.
Yep, and plug that into that, elevate expectations, and then identify in that framework who and how and what needs to be part of the process. It's a fairly easy process to apply.
I like it.
Okay, I don't have anything else. Council, I believe we have your support in moving all of this forward.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that the leadership team is in the room to know that we have your support. I'm excited to have this right forward. Any comments from department heads, concerns at all? No comments. No comments. Okay. I bet there's a little bit of adaptation into this. Framework thinking, but. Ask you to don't be offended. I use the Stewart Park as an example. They should have ideas come out. So I asked them.
I know we're moving to Stewart Park, remember we were talking about. Let the neighborhoods take ownership, like what we did with, first we were talking about Miller Park. Let them do the fundraising. Why don't we get the neighborhood around Stewart Park to take ownership of that park? And throw that idea out, see if they can do fundraising for some of this stuff. Because those toys are expensive, I'll get out. And I think most people, when they find out that it's mostly a matter of, we just don't have the money. I think they may step up and take charge of those things that we need to do. Just a thought.
Right. Absolutely love. It is ownership of.
Just piggybacking off of that, we have our committees, like for instance, our parks committee. Like they have a campaign right now that they are going door to door for in the neighborhood that it affects. And so that would be an excellent way to
What's,
use to. What we find safe.
let me piggyback onto that. The thing that came to mind was then creating a nonprofit for that park. Any funds they raise go to the nonprofit to provide it's legal and just oversight on that as well. To anything that they do, and also with the parks, our park committees. And then run it, I don't know how legal that is.
Say that again.
If, for example, with the parks, Miller or Stewart.
Keith and I were building a better cheddar, right?
Their own version of that.
I guarantee you it's our own version.
Anyway, so if neighborhoods take ownership of that, they fundraise for any new toy, whatever the case may be, like Stewart Park with the sales. What, gets a nonprofit,
Contributing to parks.
Like the nonprofit did,
yeah,
be like an
that's
individual.
created by the neighborhood itself.
Yeah, I don't think the city wants to step into creating for them, but if
But they create
a
one
group of residents wants to, yeah, that would, yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all here, yeah.
So that's
We'd be leveraging the profit at that point.
what I'm. Big leverage.
Sticky word.
It's just gonna come out now.
Roger,
But yes, that would be allowed.
one other idea, and this is really its infancy, but, the health trust, Sean Specific and I have been having conversations about potential, a renewed conversation about recreation district in our valley. Sean's view of that is to help program, maintain a lot of our existing facilities, like the Greenway facilities, that put in with grant dollars and no one's quite sure how to maintain it. The wellness center, it may be that they could be part of Miller Park, it may turn into a rec center, we don't know, but he's expressed an interest in considering rec district. Similar valedictorian district, I was valedictorian people yesterday,
Okay,
Like,
where do the taxes come from for rec district?
wherever the geographic footprint of that district is.
Okay, this isn't the auditorium district hotel tax.
Hotel tax,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, don't give that more legs than what I'm just sharing to you, that's a conversation of how we provide amenities in our community that are gonna help the lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your support, everybody else that's here, thank you for sitting through this for the fourth. Will be, let's see.
What about item 3?
Item number 3, that's the three musketeers over there. This is also, council, just so you're aware, it's on our normal council, we're not asking for decision, but we weren't sure we were gonna have more time. Study session, so we put it on your agenda. Go ahead.
Thanks. This first line, this is leading into a conversation about how we deal with developments outside the city limits that will use city services. The area of impact was a new law last year, so it required the counties to change them. Our former area of impact is what you see in yellow, the hash marks. Too large. And that was, I don't know when it was established, 20, 30 years ago. But the old law would require more cooperation with the cities, the county. So we proposed, if you change slides to the next one. We asked that our new urban service boundary or our urban service boundary relate with the new area of impact. And so the county did agree a lot on that. I don't know how the other cities fared with negotiations that way. But the reason, and we asked that because our urban service boundary indicates where we have the capacity to serve with sewer right now. If you notice along Tanky Road with the North Interceptor, if and when it gets built, then that would increase capacity along there. Next slide. So the prior statute required cities and counties to cooperate, adopt a joint plan, ordinances. They could take the cities or counties or something in between. So that there'd be a real clear pattern for how it's gonna develop. So if a subdivision came in that area, it would meet all city standards. If that's what you decided on, it's open as well. Next slide. The new statute, county has all the authority. It's in the statute, it does say they should work together on the ACI boundary. And the county may adopt an individual plan or ordinance for the area city impact. And both codes, cities are allowed to annex outside the area if there's a request by a property. There's never a question of that. So that's where we're at with the area impacting our urban service boundary. There's not really a question yet about if there's anything to prevent us from going ahead with what we started with our county services. But we do have questions for you at the end of this discussion. Sean's gonna go through the resolution.
So a resolution that we're currently coming from, we're working from. It allows for 4 types of requests: sewer only on a single lot. With city sewer replacing septic system. Sewer only subdivision or minor land division with new lots with private or community well. A water only, that's subdivision with new lots, or water and sewer subdivision with new lots, which water and sewer would be similar to Westfield. Jackson Estates, I believe, is a sewer only subdivision. Part of the problems with this is you will not see an application from the county. So you won't know there's anything coming. Staff will see it. And we're basically asking if it's something we want to continue doing. How interested are we to continue with this service?
Well, can I add just a couple of things? Sorry, no sense. So the resolution was passed in 2023, which is at the time our area city impact basically went to the reservation, right? So all of that future where it's been reduced, that kind of adds a question whether or not we still want to apply this resolution to anywhere that we make it a request to service, or if we want to somehow limit that to within the area of city impact. I think that's potentially one option we could consider. And then to add to it, the resolution, the way it's written, if a subdivision comes in and wants to connect with sewer or water or both, it does require them to meet some city development standards. So it requires them to build a street like they would in the city, curb, sidewalk, same with things like that. What we see is when that happens, quite some distance from the city, first thing they come to us and say, we don't want sidewalks out there. It doesn't make sense. The city's not gonna annex that for 50 years, right? And so there's some question about how do we apply it? And like Sean said, at what point do you really want to weigh conversations and decisions? So we may get a request, currently have a request to provide a will serve letter to a subdivision in the county.
To provide what?
They call it a will serve letter. It basically says, we will allow you to connect to our sewer.
Okay,
They're required to do that before they can make their way through the county's development process. But that's committing the city to providing sewer before plans are developed. It goes through a plat, it won't make it to you to approve because there's nothing to approve. Certainly, we can bring it to you, and that's our question. We want to see every time we get a request. We want to see it from the start. We want to allow the mayor. I think the way the ordinance is written, it gives the mayor the authority to enter into agreements. Michael, sorry, you didn't keep it right.
Oh, you're good.
What instigated this is the first one that's happened since the change in the ACI. We just want to make sure everyone's still on the same page. If staff is interpreting it the same way. So,
But I wanna add some others too, from Duran and Bryce.
Sorry.
We didn't add the buts to the end of this conversation, where the developer comes and says, we're too far out, we don't wanna build the street to their standards. We don't want, but we wanna use your sewer because it allows us to increase density.
yeah,
So the county development code, depends on where the zone is, 5-acre lots, right? If they don't have our sewer. With our sewer, their density goes to 1-acre lots. So from my perspective, and the reason I asked for this engagement is the request sometimes feels one-sided. We want to use the city asset to increase our development density, but we don't want to prepare for city style standards or development. So,
Yeah.
And I think,
just for context.
well, you have your question, right?
Yeah, well, to cut a little bit of both, statement, because the way I look at it, if they're using our services, right? In my opinion, the strings that should be attached should be our standards as well. Because the county standards, I hate to say this, are not as, rigorous as ours. I think it's a better way of putting it than I usually do. So I'm going to do both, divorcing. And I think that's, if at the very least, like you said, the 5 acre ones were out of the booty. Even if the easements alone were to our standard, and they build to our standard as far as the easement are concerned, maybe we can build on that, and finally reach that area. So I think if you look back at our history here, well, Pokey and us, they didn't look far enough into the future to say, okay, Hawthorne is a perfect example. I think, we got it. Granted, Connor should have been so close, but it is what it is. But once you cross the highway, I mean, the streets is too narrow, right? Or even like, for example, Moon Glow over here. I mean, we reached them when was Moon Glow built? About 20 years, 30 years ago? I think and they're, if you.
Moon Glow's older than that.
50,
Yeah.
50, almost 50.
Yeah, 50.
Well, and again, I mean, they don't have these sort of. Still to our standards. If they decided to join the city. That would be my only concern as far as this is concerned, that they do meet our standards or at least. Have the capability, like for example, easements and so forth, that they can. Once we get there, and we will eventually, then we can build.
I think it's always easy to say, oh, it will be far in the future, but it comes, and then we end up with a neighborhood like Cotan. That has no sidewalks, or, and I mean, there's neighborhoods already in the county that I'm like,
Yeah, this is just,
that street is too small, like that street's gonna be too small.
but they're saying the county doesn't want it,
The county doesn't want what,
the improvements. They don't wanna have to deal with it.
well,
Sidewalk is the responsibility of the property.
Well, even if they don't build a sidewalk, the easement, so we can later on, because I know we could eventually do it.
so that there's enough room to put it in with ease.
Or even like, except for Armingo Lane here, as narrow as it is, we can build that, all that stuff there. That's the other thing that comes to mind as well. That at least we have room to grow into it or build around it. I think that would be my concern. That would be probably part of my guidance.
So here's a
Can I
couple,
offer what I've seen, these guys are being nicer.
Yeah.
We're using the word leverage. These developers are leveraging the threat of not developing. And so what they end up doing is developing outside the city, utilizing the resources of the city, and I think they're asking, and then what they do is they promise. Under this to annex at some point in the future, but then they leverage their development so that they never touch.
yeah,
And I guess their question is. What the code says is the mayor can enter into these contracts, and because it said that, we thought, well, it'd be good to have some standards. And so that resolution was to create standards, but it still doesn't come to the council to say, wait a minute, we're not gonna let you connect unless you provide sidewalks. Because that's what we require of everybody in the city to do. And you're getting, honestly, our fire and police are gonna be helping if
Service.
needed, but
yeah,
they're gonna be getting our water and sewer, and how much do, I think they're taking on a lot of burden of, is this a policy wise, a good decision, which is your decision.
So,
I think we should make it across the boards if they want to use city services. Especially developers, so that they can increase their profits by having more lots, then they need to build to our city standards.
simple as that.
And if
Well,
they don't want to, that's
You,
fine, then
you
we don't
can,
have to.
you can make that discussion with them, but the resolution as it stands doesn't bring this decision to you guys. I think their question is, do you want this modified so that any of these decisions have to be brought before council? So you can ask those questions of, wait a minute. And then, when there's a development agreement that says you gotta put in sidewalks. And they're saying, oh, they wanna not do it now because they got their water and sewer, now they wanna step back from this. They can say, no, the council required it.
Yeah.
I think it helps. I think their challenge is they get caught kind of between this rock and a hard place.
Because right now, it's like,
Pretty big. Oh, sorry.
a development by development decision, is that what I'm hearing? It's kind of a,
It's an application by application.
or application by
If
application?
there we have a resolution that says if they build the city standards, we. It doesn't commit us, but it says we can provide service.
We can, there's no requirement, the very last sentence says, this is the guidance does not create an automatic right. The city maintains the discretion whether to approve or deny.
So part of the question we have is who's making that decision?
Who gets the discretion?
Yeah,
That's why it's a.
Even if we want to meet all the requirements, it still is a little bit uncomfortable for us to say,
Yeah,
we're committing the city to service
should be a governing
this
body that
develops
develops that.
And the interesting thing is ultimately the mayor signed the agreement.
Right, but if we authorize him to do that,
so that would be, I think the direction we would wanna go is to have the council sign a new resolution that takes the discretion out of it.
Well, what's the discretion, you want the application, you guys,
Yeah,
Okay.
but not on an application by application basis.
Yeah, I do think there's caution there. I mean, I think staff's looking for a little bit of protection for their decisions, right? They wanna make sure they're not doing something that's in opposition to council, but I also give caution to the council that on an application to application basis, it is hard for you to have them stand in front of you and pick and choose one or the other.
Right,
I really like clean, cut and dried policy,
but the council adopts.
yes or no,
This is what
here's
it
our
is.
standards, no more discussion.
and that way we can check off.
And I'm okay to take that responsibility if we get the right standard in place.
So,
But I don't wanna subject staff to interpretation, and I also don't wanna
Yeah, I
subject
don't-
council to
I don't think
interpretation.
either of us should be doing application by application. I think we should have a policy, and that's the policy, and if you don't wanna do that, then don't build
staff
there.
doesn't says they meet requirements, yes or no, so.
But I have a little bit of history to this that I may even be stronger position than that, but you guys could help me walk off that edge if you need to. The reason two things. If you remember, there was a joint powers agreement between the two cities in Bannock County that all of this property needed to connect to sewer. Long standing, that's what the study, that's what the whole Northwest Sewer Interceptor was about. And Bannock County stepped away from that in about 2019, 2020. I was still here.
With what?
Works. Yes.
Yeah.
And so the county at that point made the decision, we don't need access to sewer. Okay, so that's number one. And that was a commission that's different than current leadership, right? So maybe that relationship gets renewed and it may change this conversation. The way I see it right now, the county representing their developers stepped away from being part of our sewer system. Number two is, when we first started through this, my fault, or how do you want to clarify, when Westfield Estates came, we were excited about their connections because we wanted their capacity fees to help pay our debt. I don't think that that is as critical as it was 7 or 8 years ago. Meaning, you weigh in, Bridger, if you see this differently. I wouldn't make this decision on are we connecting to sewer or not, be a financial connection decision. At the point with Westfield, it was part of that conversation. I think that need is also gone.
But Westfield could not have developed the size lots that they developed without doing it through the city, which is why they came to us, right? And I remember there was some pushback. They didn't want to necessarily build to the city standards.
This is the same development.
So,
Okay.
well, I mean, here's the way I look at it, it's. Cause even if we go partial, right, we're still on the hook for the rest of the development.
Yeah.
So I, for one, do not wanna. Indebted either future councils or the city for that, for those projects that we failed to do. Anything like I said, they hook up to any of our services, here's a standard, you gotta meet it, and it's stored. Not to be a hard ass, but that's the way, in my opinion, I don't want anybody else. Other future councils to start paying for somebody else's profit margin, right?
And
Because
because
that's what
when
we're doing.
when they're developing neighborhoods with that size of lots, those are city neighborhoods. Those are not country county developments, those are community city neighborhoods, and so I think we just make it a policy that this is what the standards are. If you want access to our water or sewer, you build to city standards, period.
Do you think it covers it?
I think it's a resolution to that. They need to look and see.
The question is the discretion.
Yeah, take the discretion off the table.
I mean, if that's the case, you could get rid of the resolution and it leaves it in the mayor's hand anyway. You know, so,
I like the resolution because it clearly defines.
yeah,
And
I,
it's easy
I think
for
it's like-
staff to convey to the developer who's our.
can I ask a question? Is there something you would like to ask the council to include in a resolution?
Yeah.
That would address, because you guys receive things that none of us, the phone calls you get, the demands you get, the pressures you get, the veiled maybe threats that you get. What would help them to know what you would like to see in that?
I actually don't. These guys are verified. I don't know that I've seen anything that has served changed the resolution.
Okay.
We'll look again and see if there's maybe some tweaks. I think we've been interpreting it the way you guys have clarified that for us today. We just wanted to make sure we're honest.
Yeah.
Especially where the ACI's cheap.
Yeah. And I think that if this current resolution is pretty much that, but it does offer the developers that chance to come in and try and have it with you guys, I think fix that and take that off the table, so you don't have to deal with it.
Well, because there's some,
Yeah, regardless of what the resolution says.
well, it does say that, that uses. Sorry, I'm stuttering today, but more than usual.
What if it was included in there? There will be no deviation. I mean,
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
and
because it
then
does
if they
say-
come to you and try and tackle, just say, I'm sorry, this is, the council gave us the direction that this is a zero tolerance policy.
For the current situation. So. The applicant. Is claiming that the county road and bridge department has told them that they do not want sidewalks and curb itself. Or the width of asphalt that the city would ask for. So. According to the developer, the county is asking for narrower pavement. We moved it over to sidewalk. We've asked, well, if you really want us to consider that, we need to get something from the county. To even start that conversation, that that's their position. So the developer has said, we recognize that's the city requirement. Would we allow for an LID to be formed? To pay for those improvements in the future? So there's no. I warned them that may be the position, but I don't know that that's necessarily a staff decision.
It's just them trying in every way possible to kick the can down the road,
Yeah.
and I say no,
And-
no.
okay, correct me if I'm wrong, I'd rather just. Fix it now, get it done right now, correctly, should be. Then, like you said, kick it down the road, I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, how many times have we seen that also in the last few years? Ever since I've seen it, what, 3, maybe 4 times?
We're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now, yeah, so, no,
And the LID is just an offer so that it's like, well, look, the city won't have to pay for it. But it puts the burden on
Still
those
not the
residents
best.
down the road, it just kicks it down the road, so I just say altogether, no.
as it's written, I think, and as it's been interpreted to me, I think it accomplishes that. I think the direction that you've given is probably better than putting in here something that says you will comply to city standards, because that might create its own hiccup. But I think you got enough to say, no, we approach staff or we approach council and. And sort of, if we're going to provide our services, it's going to be a city standards and.
yeah, I mean, they need our, like I said, I'm not in the mood or of the mindset to underwrite somebody's profit margin. That's all.
That's what both want.
Yeah, so, can I ask this, so you said agreement, regardless of what it is, city standards?
City standards.
City standards,
Yes.
correct?
And you can say that's what the council has said.
This is helpful. Yeah. Down here, did we cover?
One other question,
Because private is better, Charlie, not one.
it's gonna take more than 11 minutes that we have. The current application is outside of the new ACI. It's the end of
That's the very, it is the factor that.
Okay. Council, the reason I asked that is this all resolution was passed when we had this big ACI. When that pulls back, I have a tendency to not want to provide services
Outside of it.
outside the ACI, period.
No, I
It's
agree.
just not an option. Inside the ACI, we
So
would follow our current standard, but outside of the ACI,
It's just a way of gaming the system.
But
to get
keep
the
in mind,
best
there's 4 different
works.
applications, one might be sewer only, you might have septic people that you want on sewer, the question is. Do you wanna foreclose them doing that until they're annexed? Like, we had a couple that was a little bit of a pain in the,
It took us,
it was sewer stuff, it was a pain in the rear, so. The question is, are you talking all 4 applications, all 4 types?
I'm thinking all 4 sides. That's just my opinion, I'm sorry.
Cause the only reason they're coming to us is when they want the smaller lot sizes, right? So someone that had a 5 acre lot,
I don't know if that's 100%.
You could have existing structures,
We got an application, sorry to interrupt.
yeah, no, you're good.
We got another not an application, we got a plat submitted from the county. Asking for input, which is typical. It's north of where this current application is, but it's. Between Tyke and Reservation Road. And I think they're all they're all less than an acre and a half. Granted, part of their plat has a farm field included in it, which meets their open space requirement, but the lots themselves are all very similar in size to what this application is.
but they give up 50% of their ground to do it.
For now, it's a farm, it'll be a farm field for some point.
Yeah.
I see your point there, then they would have potentially get more value if they develop the whole area.
I just wonder what obligation or why do we feel like we need to provide our assets to county development? And I'm not trying to not be a good partner of the county, but
I don't
It's
even,
a
but
reliance
I
on our
don't think it's
infrastructure.
that, yeah, it's not
They
that,
don't,
it's,
and maybe it becomes part of the negotiation of the new ACI, maybe it becomes part of the negotiation to reinstitute the sewer district, right, with that, but. Right now, I don't know why we have an obligation,
Yeah.
I like it inside the ACI, this is a new conversation between us, by the way, so we don't have this solved, but. Yes, while we have the council here, do you have a strong opinion on? Outside the ACI, which is outside that. Maroon hatched area, we're just not providing services,
Well,
which most of that.
Hmm.
You don't have ability to anyway, right, the blue dotted line.
probably comes cost per acre. I mean, certainly, any of that could be served. It just comes at a cost to the developer, but operates. It's your right.
I mean, our blue dash line is pretty close to the ACI.
yeah, it's really close.
That was at our request to use our urban service map as the basis. They adjusted.
what about the septic tanks? Is that gonna be a problem with our groundwater in any way? Is that an incentive for us to then want to be able to have people hook up to the sewer services and then? You know. Create whatever standards we think we need to. Build better chiller.
And that is the purpose of the sewer district,
Right,
right, and true, Richard mentions that to me, but I guess.
yeah,
From my perspective, if the county's willing to step away from protecting groundwater in their jurisdiction, why does the city have a responsibility to protect groundwater outside of our jurisdiction?
true.
Now, maybe in the big umbrella, the benefit of the community, we need to protect our own wells also, which are all likely upstream of.
Probably upstream. But are there federal regulations that are gonna apply that we can rely on? I don't know. These are.
I think the problem with these parcels that are being developed is they can't develop them in a 5 acre lots, it's cost prohibitive. And so they don't have the leverage they claim, but I think the balancing act. And the mayor can appreciate this as you're meeting with the new mayor, with the county, with the tribes, is we don't wanna be so blunt, so direct, so. To get out of our sandbox, it matters how you say it. And I think they're doing a great job, and I think they can just share the fact that, I mean, they don't have to grant any application. I think it's worth kind of just, this discussion is helpful, but I don't think taking a hard line and stomping our foot on the ground, from a kind of policy standpoint is necessarily how we go. We're building a better truck.
And then I think if you guys get to the point where you're like, all right, we need to draw a hard line, then let us know.
Thank you.
That was a great use of an hour and 55 minutes. Everybody, wow, seriously,
A lot accomplished.
yeah.
Why can't we be blunt? Just saying,
What'd you say?
why can't we be blunt?
What?
Your